Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got Mark Gray with us today. He's an Irishman living in Spain and he helps others, individuals. He's a pain free performance specialist and changing entrepreneurs' lives forever. And so he's got a fantastic story, and I'm really happy to have him on the show. So, Mark, welcome.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, like I just said, super interested and excited to have a chat with yourself and just maybe share some knowledge bombs or helpful tips for your audience.
Yeah. So start off by introducing yourself and your story. And I know you're a digital nomad, and talk about how you got there and how the audience can benefit from your expertise.
Yeah. So as you just said, I'm Irish. So I wasn't born in Spain. And yeah, so I lived in London for 8 years that's where I became a coach. That's where I started working as a coach. And yeah, so learned my trade over there. I had an awesome time, gained a load of experience. And just as COVID hit, I took my business online. So no more gym stuff. And that enabled me to reach more people, but then also have the possibility of working somewhere else that wasn't rainy London. So then as of last year, we packed up our bags and moved to Barcelona to sunnier ventures. And then just in terms of me as a coach, as you said, I'm a pain-free performance specialist. That's just like one of my titles. It sounds quite fancy, but really it's not. But I work with individuals, high-end individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners, high-level professionals, directors, etc. And I help them live a pain-free life. And in the process of doing that, get stronger than ever, healthier, fitter, more mobile. And the ultimate goal is just to help them move pain-free so that they can enjoy life. Because all too often, or more often than I would care is that a lot of these individuals sacrifice a part of themselves to achieve the things they do with their career. And that comes in the way of like maybe poor health or injuries and pain that they didn't necessarily get from playing sports or doing activities in the gym. It's just things they've developed through poor movement and lack of looking after themselves. So I just help those people improve themselves and just get them back to a position where they can enjoy life. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I really enjoy that introduction. And so moving on is what sets you apart? Because these days we have coaches, and what sets your methods apart from others, and how do you tailor your programs to meet the specific needs of high level entrepreneurs?
So yeah, so there's never been, excuse me, there's never been more online coaches and personal trainers than that there is at the moment. You don't actually have to qualify anymore to be a coach because you don't actually have to go into a gym and show them your qualifications. You can just post some videos online and then voila, you're an online coach. So it's much different these days. But no, what sets me apart is I did what any good coach or great coach does is you do your time on the gym floor. So you put your graft in, you do your hours, you do your thousands and thousands of coaching hours with an individual in front of them. And later on in my career, just before I stopped working in the gym, I was lucky enough to work in Equinox in London. I know Equinox is very popular in the States, but the one in London was very new, but it's also one of the most respected and like luxurious gyms as such, you could call it in the UK. And in there, I was exposed to a lot of high network and high level individuals. And then I was in there, I gained experience, what worked for them. It goes far beyond just gym sessions. And it goes beyond the workouts you give them and the exercises. It's being able to manage the amount of stuff you give them from a stress management viewpoint or recovery viewpoint. Is how is their sleep? Have they had a particularly busy week with projects or managing teams? And maybe they're flying halfway across the world and then back again. So managing all these different things and trying to take as much of the stress and responsibility of their hands as possible and just let me do as much of that as I can. And just coaching them then to make these decisions themselves and educate them so then they can be aware of certain things, letting them be more aware under stress, for instance. You need to recognize when you are stressed. You're going to be stressed probably most days of the week, but I need you to recognize when maybe you're a bit more stressed than normal. So then you can bring yourself back to somewhat of a baseline which is probably still stressed than more people, but relatively relaxed for that individual. So that's what I would say is I've always said got a very high attention to detail with my clients. I'm not in this career or business to fill my pockets. I got into it because I enjoy myself. And now, yes, I'm trying to build a business that will eventually fill my pockets, but I got into it because of my passion and I just enjoy helping people. As cliche and cheesy as that may sound, but that's what I do. So yeah, just when it comes to entrepreneurs and these high level individuals is just having lots and lots of exposure. So I deal with some very successful, highly successful people that can afford to miss a day's work because they've got hurt in the gym or because they've exhausted themselves so much with a certain type of workout that their brain is fried and they can't go into their meetings that day because they're exhausted. All these different things. So I've learned how to apply like the medicine, prescribe as much as I can, but not too much. So yeah, I probably waffled on a bit there, but yeah, you get the drift of it.
Yeah, quite interesting. And in your time working with entrepreneurs, like what is the thing that entrepreneurs suffer the most? Like what area is it? Because is it diet, fitness, nutrition? Is it relationships, sleep? And what sort of patterns do you see among entrepreneurs that kind of help you to tailor your methods?
Everything you named, and probably some more stuff as well. I haven't met an entrepreneur. Like, obviously, the word entrepreneur gets thrown around a lot because there's 100 different types of entrepreneur. But I'm talking about those people that have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years. They've been grafting for a long time and they put a lot of miles behind their clock. Like their body is somewhat tired, fatigued, beaten up. But yeah, the big one I tried to work with my clients, first of all, is sleep. So you can train as hard as you can in the gym. You can eat quite well. You can do all the breath work and journaling and stretching you can. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting those minimum like 7, 8 hours sleep, it's 8 hours of sleep a night and not just 7 to 8 hours of sleep in your bed, but good quality sleep. That's the key difference that people tend to forget is that you can get 7 hours sleep and that sleep can be crap. Your sleep has to be of good quality. So that's the big one I work with, first of all. And it's super simple. It's just about setting routines, getting into habits, like having consistent sleep and wake times, those sorts of things, being more intentful. The big one I see with a lot of people is they just are very nonchalant with their sleep. And it's just one of those things we have to do, just like brushing your teeth, going to sleep, or just like brushing your teeth. Sorry, they see going to sleep as just one of those things. So I have to do it rather looking at it as an extremely important part of your day. And I say this all the time to clients and other people is that sleep is a skill. And a lot of these people actually lack the skill of going to sleep, which sounds really silly because we can all sleep. When you're a baby, you sleep all day. But as we age, we fall out of that skill of being able to go to sleep. We all know people that can hit the pillow asleep in 1 minute. Other people have to read books and journal and do bloody Baba Black Sheep 100 times, whatever it is, to get to sleep. So just getting them into a position where they can become more skillful at sleeping. And the way you do that is telling them it's a priority. Like you have to sleep. Once they realize that, then it becomes a whole lot easier to do. And then when they start sleeping better, what happens as a result? They've got more energy. They've got clearer trail of thought. They can make better decisions. They're more productive. Their cognitive function is better. As a result of that, they train harder in the gym. They get stronger. They feel more energetic. They're not as foggy in the brain. So what do? They make better decisions with their nutrition. They're not as stressed. All these sorts of things, but it all starts with your sleep. And the flip side for that, if you're not sleeping right, it's much harder for your body to burn fat, get as strong, reduce your pain if you're dealing with an injury. It's much harder for your body to ship that pain off. So yeah, the big one I see people struggle with is their sleep. And that's why it's my number one priority amongst other things. But yeah, sleep first.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And I read a book back then before sleep was team, and it was called the Sleep Revolution. And just now it's entrepreneurs, they take cold showers and they juice. And so like sleep is one of those things. What are some good like sleep routines that you help with entrepreneurs, help them to get better rest?
You might have, I've got these things beside me. So these are my funky, they look quite cool. They're my blue light glasses. So I wear them every night before bed. And that just obviously blocks out all these crazy lights I have. Obviously, most entrepreneurs live with this in their hand. If it's not their laptop, it's their phone. So blocking out those blue lights. But the big one for me and the most important one is having consistent sleep and wake times. That's by far the most important and beneficial thing you can do as not just an entrepreneur, just as a person in general. And the reason for that is that you have your circadian rhythm, like a 24-hour, a lot like internal clock as such. It's supposed to work with like sunrise and sunset, dark, light, that sort of stuff. So your body needs to get into a routine of going to sleep at a certain time and waking up at a certain time. And that's going back to like childhood and kids. Like I mentioned a minute ago, we lose the ability to be good at sleep as we age. Not everyone, but some people. Is we've all heard of the thing is like, oh, with babies, like new parents, like I have to get them home for this time because it's their sleep. It's like they have to get a sleeping time. It's their routine. And that routine worked and it was there for a reason, but we need that same routine for adults. So if you're going to sleep at 10 p.m. one night, the next night is midnight, then it's 11 o'clock, then it's half 12, then it's 11 o'clock, then it's 1 o'clock. But then in the morning, you're waking up at the same time each time because that's your alarm at 7 a.m. Your body is just in limbo. It's like it's getting enough sleep, not enough sleep. It's up, down, up, down. So yeah, the best thing you can do is just be consistent with your sleep times. Now, I'm not telling you to hit it to the minute, but if you can be within like 30 minutes in the evening, at nighttime, and then 30 minutes in the morning when you wake up, that will set you on the right foot. And that alone will have just a massive impact on the quality of sleep you get.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I age more, I go to bed earlier and I wake up earlier, and the importance of just moving and stretching. For a lot of the audience out there, they're always on planes or they're in different time zones. What sort of routines do you have? Can you recommend like either noise canceling headphones, eye masks, all of these types of things?
Yeah. Like I said, there's loads of aids you can use. First thing I'd say, it's like trying to run before you can walk. So before anyone adds in any aids, like things like these, just make sure you are getting to sleep on time and waking up in time. Cool. So that's number one. But when it comes to aids, earplugs are awesome. So especially if you're not in the same environment, maybe you're in like you're chopping and changing from hotel. So earplugs are awesome because just in case there's like a noisy air conditioning unit that's going to keep you up, you got your earplugs, it blocks it off. Like I don't have any noise in my room except my fiance. Now she doesn't make any noise, but I'm quite particular to noise. Like even if she breathes, like I'll be like, what, that'll set me. So I wear earplugs every night and it's awesome. Also, eye mask is brilliant. Lucky enough that I'm in Spain now. So we have blackout blinds. We've got the shutters that come down. So there's not a single bit of light that gets into the room. But eye mask is excellent as well. Again, especially if you're traveling, if you're in a hotel or somewhere that isn't your normal room, it might not be as dark. The curtains might not close over. Things like that. So if you can get into the habit of using those little things, eye mask, earplugs, nose tape as well. And I just bringing you through what I do every night, actually. Earplugs, mouth tape. What else did I just say there again? Nose tape. I use it all. I look quite the sight when I go to sleep. But also for people that do like maybe transatlantic flights, that sort of stuff. Again, plan ahead. So don't just rock up to your flight and then just go, right, you go with no plan. With everything, same as business. And that's the ironic thing. All these people who hopefully we're talking to on like high level entrepreneurs, everything is done with planning. Their day is planned, their business is planned, etc. If you know you're going to fly from New York to London this week, like plan that. Plan like when you're going to get your sleep. Try to build up to it. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but little things like that just make a difference. There's also an awesome app called Time Shifter, which you may have heard of. I suggest this to all my clients and it works really well. But it's a jet lag prevention app. It's absolutely wicked. You put in the flights and the time that you're going to go, and then it pretty much stops you from getting jet lag. So yeah, the Time Shifter app, I definitely suggest that. But yeah, so there, that's the little things I would suggest, but then getting back to it, main thing is just make sure you're actually sleeping on a consistent basis, like getting up and going to sleep. Also your environment, which kind of gets back to what I said, dark room, quiet room, no dogs, no cats in the bed, no kids if possible. Things like that make a big difference. And yeah, if you can't sleep very well at the moment, I tell my clients, not expecting you to be perfect straight away. And please don't expect yourself to be perfect straight away. This can take weeks, months for you to develop the habit again of actually being able to sleep. But once you get it, it will change your life. Stress will be lower. Your body will feel better. So yeah.
Yeah, I love all of those tips. Some of those things is just like turning the temperature in the room like super cold and having like very like heavy, thick, very comfortable, and the eye masks. The other question is, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs, they sit or they're in meetings or they're on planes, kind of movement. If they can't get like a 30-minute cardio or something, like what do you recommend to just get your body release the tension? And I know a lot of they do a lot of stretching to increase their energy and all of that.
Yeah. So one of the problems that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is they have something called an all or nothing mindset. You might be aware of that yourself. And this mindset has been awesome up until this point, and it's helped them like do some amazing things. Hence why they've either been very successful with their business, relationships, family, that sort of stuff. So it's been wicked for that. But when it comes to your health, it's quite a negative mindset to have, because it's obviously has to be everything and perfect, or it's just nothing at all. And when you bring this approach then to like training and exercising and working out in the gym and that sort of stuff, is that you're not going to have perfect conditions. And especially as a busy entrepreneur or high level professional, they more often than not are not going to have perfect conditions. So the big thing I suggest to them, and I try to get across to them, is something is always going to be better than nothing. So if it's a case of you flying across the world and you've got like meetings and meetings, don't look at it as you have no opportunity. If you have meetings blocked out for the morning and then you see that you have an hour break, like just take yourself for half an hour walk. Like something as simple as that can be amazing. If you have time to go up to your room in your hotel, just have a stretch for 15 minutes, like things like that. A lot of my clients, when they're traveling, they pack with resistance bands, and a few of them bring their foam rollers with them as well. So they're able to work out. They might not necessarily be able to make it to the gym, but what they can do is in the morning or in the evening, pre or post like their work stuff, is they'll spend 20, 25 minutes just doing a small little workout just with their bands and their foam roller. Stretch, mobilize, and then do 3 sets of push-ups and squats. Now, that's not going to move mountains, and that's not what's going to like ultimately progress them to their main goals. But what it does is it helps keep the wheel moving. So it keeps the cogs in motion. So yeah, little things like that, just trying to get in anything you can. So it doesn't have to be a full 1-hour gym session all the time. It doesn't have to be a 10-mile run. If you can just do 10 minutes, 3 days a week, that's better than doing no minutes 7 days a week. If you're on a plane and you're flying halfway across the world, stand up and stretch for 10 minutes. Things like that. Just try and get movement in wherever you can. And that's the key. And that's when you do that sort of stuff, is when you have made it a priority. So if you don't prioritize that sort of stuff, you won't remember it and you won't do it. But if it is a priority of yours, you'll be that person that stands up in the airplane and walks up and down the aisle a few times and stretches. Or you'll be that person that brings resistance bands and a foam roller in their travel bag. So yeah, that's what I suggest. Just try to have that mindset of something is always better than nothing.
Yeah, it reminds quite interesting, and just like a 5 minute stretch or just a deep stretch or just like you say, keep the wheels rolling better than nothing. Yeah. How can people find out more about you and the work that you do and reach out to you?
Cool. Yeah. So my coaching business is called the Paradigm Project. And you can find me at the paradigmproject.uk. And you can also find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. So my handle on Instagram is Coach Mark Gray. So it's super original. And LinkedIn, you can just find me as Mark Gray. Yeah, you'll find me there somewhere, personal trainer, online coach. And yeah, that's where you can find me. All the details on my website. And yeah, if you have any questions, and the thing is, I have my socials there for a reason because it's there to help. Just give as much advice and help as I possibly can. So if anybody wants any advice or they have a question on their mind, don't hesitate to drop me a message and I'll point you in the right direction and help where I can. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. And for the audience, be sure to give Mark socials a like and follow. And thanks so much for coming on in such a enlightening conversation around sleep and rest. And thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was awesome.